Good evening from Vietnam, Ryan. Thank you so much for joining our Inside Sharing show and share your story with our audience. We really appreciate that.
Oh, so good to be here. Thank you, my friend.
Hey, Ryan. In our culture, it's very honor for our audience if you can help us to do the introduction of who you are. Can you help us doing that?
Yeah, sure. I'm Ryan Hartley. I'm 35. I'm from the southwest of England. I'm just a curious human being. I've always been fascinated by why people do what they do, and that led me to this wonderful topic of psychology. I used to watch far too many crime documentaries, I think, as a child,
Uh,
and I wanted to know why naughty people did naughty things. So I went off to university, and I did psychology, and I later joined the police. I spent 12 good years in the UK Police Service before leaving to set up my own company called Always Better Than Yesterday. I coach, I consult, I run a community, I host a podcast. And I'm very fortunate enough to get to do what I love every single day. I'm married to my childhood sweetheart, Lisa. We've been together since we were 15, so that's 20 years this year. And
wow.
we've got two wonderful children. My son is almost 10 and my daughter is 7.
Wow. Congratulations for the 20 years and, knowing one another. And Ryan, you said that you'd be interested to understand why people are doing what they are doing, right? And when did you start to realize that you have the interest in that?
Well, so consciously, it wasn't until as part of my own leadership development journey, I came across a TED Talk by Simon Sinek.
Mm,
And Simon introduces us to the concept of start with why, which is about how great leaders inspire us by starting with why, not necessarily what we do or how we do it,
mm,
but why we do it. And it was at that point, I think I was around about 26, 27, and it really started to have me think about my own why, my own purpose.
mm,
And the reason I've started there is because if I look back, I've always had a sense of enjoyment and curiosity for what
mm,
I've done in the world. My job was just to try and connect the dots, try and
mm,
find some of the similarities as to the variety of the things that I'd done in my career and my life up until that point.
mm.
Um, and yeah, so I looked back to those early days as a 15-year-old when I was watching those crime documentaries,
Ah,
and that was the start of something. You know, I was a single. My mum was a single parent. I
mm,
was the eldest of my siblings, which meant that I spent a lot more time around adults.
mm,
And I guess that was just always, and that led me to good conversations, curious conversations. I've always wanted to know why things are the way that they are,
mm.
and I'm just fortunate enough to follow that in ways that my job and the things that I do in the world have been a nice expression of that.
Mm. So if I can bring you further back to when you were young, normally when we were a kid, we tend to have dreams of, and envision when we grow up, we're gonna do this kind of job, lead this kind of life, right? So back then, what did you think? When you grow up, you're gonna do what kind of job and live in what kind of, lifestyle?
Well, it's really interesting. So, many young people, they put so much pressure on having it all figured out. And I'll tell you what, I had it all figured out. As a
Mm,
young lad, I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
mm.
And then within 6 months, it would change. So I'd want to be a lawyer, or I'd want to buy a hotel and run a hotel in the south of France. I want to be a criminal profiler. And I tell you, I had absolute conviction, like I wanted to do these things. And then it changes. So
Mm.
the advice I have, like, to young people, particularly leaving school, is just you don't have to have it all figured out. Like I thought I did,
Uh-huh.
and I went on to do things that were nothing to do with what I thought was going to be done. And I'm very happy. I'm very fulfilled. So it's just not needing to have it all figured out.
Hmm. So it means that keep on living and enjoy and have a curiosity at life and at things around us, and that probably is something that running inside of you for a very long time, being curious about what why things happen around you, and the talk that Simon Sinek basically shared about 8 years ago was just a trigger, right? It's just it just
Yeah,
happened for you to think a little bit
yeah.
deeper and make change.
Well, yeah, and And I've come to, as I've grown in my own leadership journey, my own maturity and reflection, it was easy to find my why in the good times, like the
Mm.
things I enjoyed doing. You know, the jobs I've had is I've been a lifeguard in a swimming pool, I've been in organizational development roles, and I've been a coach and a consultant. And the things that have connected all those things is I just love to help make things better for people. And that's a
Mm.
surface level. It was just the spirit of, I like to help things be better and to improve for people.
Mm.
Um, but it was not until I really started to encounter some pain in my life, in my adult life, where I was
Mm.
starting to feel like I wasn't valued, like I didn't really matter, like I was being judged quite badly in the police come to the end of my time, because I was putting out things on social media about leadership. I was
Mm.
being judged, people having opinions on Ryan Hartley and what does he know about leadership. And
Mm.
it really started to bring up feelings of being unwanted, unloved, unvalued. And it was in my pain that I really connected to the depths of my purpose. My dad left when I was 6 months old. My
Mm.
stepdad abandoned me when I was 12. I've been abandoned twice by male role models. And I have a huge, like, thorn in my flesh, and my weakness and my pain is not feeling love, not
Mm.
feeling worth, feeling abandoned and
Mm.
being unloved. And so that has absolutely shaped the heart of Ryan Hartley now, because he loves to help people feel like they matter,
Mm.
to help people feel like they belong, to feel like they have gifts and skills and talents that they can use that the world needs. And
Mm.
so I've become the very person that I needed
Mm.
growing up. I've become that person, and I wouldn't have become that person without the pain with which I've once experienced.
Mm. So life is full of, a lot of different experiences. Sometimes we got, pains teach us the lessons for us to celebrate and appreciate a lot more of what we are having at the moment. I want to bring you back to the moment in when you were 27, 28. You said that
Yeah.
you found your why. And Ryan, I want to say congratulations for being able to find your why, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people, struggle in finding their reason for existence of the purpose, the calling, and you were able to do so. So can you share with us back then, how did you navigate through the complexity of life and be able to find your why?
Yeah, so using the Simon Sinek formula, he's asking you to reflect on stories in your life
Mm.
that have had some form of meaning and impact, and that have two elements to it. You're trying to understand, what is the contribution that you're making.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it that I'm contributing to that situation? And then what is the impact that contribution has had? And the clues are in the storytelling. And for me, as I've just explained, in the early days, it was about helping people feel like they are confident, so that they can be better than they were yesterday. Those are the two components. I loved helping this sense of helping people feel confident so that they could be at their best
Mm.
and be better. But as I've just said, as I deepened in my purpose, as I deepened in my, you don't find your why on a one-stop visit.
Mm-hmm.
It's about living with this curiosity for purpose.
Mm.
I don't think you find your why in a coaching session. I don't think you find it in a workshop. I think you start to uncover it.
Mm.
But
Uncover.
I think it's about a pursuit
Mm.
of trying to apply, some words to situations as if it's a measuring stick and go, is this it? Is it not? And enjoy that process. There's too many people these days have put pressure on themselves to find their why, to find their purpose, and that they feel maybe somewhat, inadequate if they haven't gone through that yet.
Mm.
My advice is the opposite. My advice is to enjoy the pursuit, enjoy the exploration,
Mm.
to enjoy the curious, exploration, because it is in that you learn more about yourself. You
Mm.
learn how to do more of what you love and less of what you don't.
Mm.
And then, as I've grown in my own framework within my own company, I don't use the work of Simon Sinek anymore. Whilst I tip my hat to it and there's a huge amount of influence, for me, I talk about Heartprint. And Heartprint is about understanding that, we as human beings, when we use our gifts and our skills and our talents to serve others, we will create possibilities.
Mm.
And I think the possibilities that we create for other people give us clues as to what it is that we're here to do and why we're here to do it.
Wow, beautiful. So the possibility that we can help people to realize, to figure it out, is something that return back to us for us to figure out what it is that important for us also, right? How about the hard work, the Heartset though? There's three components
Heartset.
yeah.
Three framework: Heartset, Heartwork, Heartprint. And I started this journey as a coach, as a mindset coach. I've read all the stuff around mindset. I've been a psychology student my entire life. I love this idea of mindset. But the more and more I journeyed into the topic of mindset, and I was coaching people on mindset, I realized that we can achieve wonderful things. The mindset can take us really, really great places. But there's a film called Madagascar, and in it there's some characters that are penguins, and they end up going on this journey, and they get to where they thought they wanted to get to, and they look around and they go, well, this sucks. And I think that's what being mindset only can do for us. Because if that mindset is fueled by expectations from culture, from society, maybe that aren't our own, maybe we can achieve wonderful things, but then look around and start to live a life that isn't fully aligned with who we are or who we want to be. So I started to come to this understanding that there was something deeper than mindset. And as I've grown and understood the power of the heart beyond being a biological pump, I've understood that the heart has a mind of its own. Of all the connections between the heart and the mind, 80% of communication goes from the heart to the mind. So there's something deeper at play. And I think the topics of purpose, I think the topics of values and character, that's deeper than mind. Because we wouldn't say to our wives, I love you with all of my mind. It's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. And then we add the perspective of leadership. I think the heart of leadership requires two components: the willingness to serve others and to sacrifice should it require it. And I don't think leaders who lead with their mindset only are willing and prepared to do that, because they haven't signed up for that model of leadership. So to do that, it takes something deeper. It takes purpose. It takes values. It takes a deep reason why you would want to be able to do those things. So Heartset for me is a deeper connection to who we are, what we stand for, what we care about. And then once we've connected to that Heartset, then we can use the mindset to go make happen. So there's a Japanese restaurant in England, and it's called Wagamama's, right? And this is the most bizarre kind of place to get a breakthrough. But on the menu, it said kokoro bowls. And the Japanese word for kokoro breaks down heart, mind, and soul. And it was in that moment I was like, they are separate. The heart, the mind, and the soul, they have three distinct functions. If the heart is who we are, what we care about, what we stand for, the passion, the purpose, the mindset's at its best when it gets to turn that into reality, strategize, to plan, to learn, to reflect, to understand. So my approach is not heart only, but it's heart-centered. You connect with your heart set first, and then hand that over to your mindset so that you can bring that to the world in the best way possible. And then the last word is heart work, which is the work that we love to do in the service of others.
Wow. And how did you come with this whole big philosophy, Ryan? This is really, really big though.
Time. I've been told. So I've been on this journey, sharing my ideas for 5 years. So under my own brand, Always Better Than Yesterday, I've been sharing my ideas for leadership for 5 years. In the very early days,
Mm.
I was accused of being a Simon Sinek fanboy, and I was, because the only ideas I was sharing was that of Simon Sinek or Brene Brown. And I love those human beings. But somewhere over the period of time, I've continued to learn. I've learned from religious texts, philosophical texts, scientific. I've been well read over the last 5 years, and something emerged which was my own opinion. And that's the thing. As I've continued to share a passion for this topic and my ideas and reflections, the clarity comes from looking backwards. So many people think that before they share out their ideas, they have to have it all figured out. I've come to the understanding that actually, by looking back, I can look at the consistent things I keep referring back to, and I can say, this is uniquely mine. This is what I keep talking about. This is what I'm passionate about. Now I can help make sense and package my idea in a way that other people are able to meet it for the first time. So after 4 years, so I only got clarity on my heart framework last year. And it doesn't mean to say I was talking nonsense for 4 years. It just meant that I hadn't packaged it in such a way that was uniquely mine.
Yep. So is you mentioned the word uncover, and then that's very beautifully describe that, right? So over the years you've been doing, and now everything's all the dots connected back. And last year was the time that you actually uncover the treasury box that that hidden through all the years like this. And that leads me to a very, very big question that I always ask all of the people join my show. Is about thinking. All right. So we believe that a lot of people around us these days, their ability to think is not increasing but actually declining. All right. And we want to help them to improve in their ability to think, because thinking is one thing that sets us totally different than other species, right? So in your way of thinking, can you describe that? How can you help yourself to go deep in thinking and go big in thinking, Ryan?
Really interesting. I'll pick up on the word you use, which is species. I think we're the only species that can go to the grave having not lived our potential. So there's something unique about human beings that animals don't have, which is the prefrontal cortex, which is our ability to think about thinking, think and plan and strategize and have obscure concepts. But the interesting thing is, when we're under states of stress, when we're busy, when we're tired, when we're fearful, our physiological response in our body is to shallow a breath. Our capillaries shrink, meaning that we get less blood and oxygen to the prefrontal cortex. Meaning that when we are fearful, stressed, or angry, or whatever that might be, we become less human. We become less capable of using that prefrontal cortex, meaning we become more stupid. Which means that self-leadership is the gap between our chimp response and our chosen response. So what we have to do as human beings is not to try and work harder, think smarter, it's to learn how to be. Too often, we have been conditioned to believe that we need to do more and have more in order to be more. We have a whole society that's not used to sitting and being still. It's going to get worse because we've got generations being raised with devices, continuously fueling their attention with devices. Pot kettle, because sometimes I can be full on, and then one of the hardest things I've ever had to learn is how to meditate, how to learn how to be still. Because there's wonderful research by the HeartMath Institute that says when we are still, when we allow our breathing to create coherence between the waves of our heart and the waves of our mind, when they are in harmony, it tells the body we're good. It tells the body to shut off the cortisol and the stress response so that it can do what it does best, which is about health, regeneration, recover, immune system, and all that good stuff. It creates peace within the heart. All is well. I have all that I need. I'm abundant. And in my mind, I am logical, I am rational, I am clear.
Mm.
So if we want to be better thinkers, we need to learn how to be. Learn how
Mm.
to be still, learn how to connect with ourselves, learn how to be in this moment, and to learn how to breathe, to
Mm.
create coherence within our heart and our mind and our body. And then we'll regain full access to the full capabilities of our mind, plus tap into the intuition of the heart, which is around receiving signals from the quantum field, which is a whole new level of topic.
Mm. I definitely need to learn a lot more on meditation and learn how to be because I've been trying to do it a couple of times and it just like my whole body was itching and it's totally uncomfortable uncomfort and then I quit it, but now I'll try it again. I will force myself learn how to be through the advices from Ryan. Okay.
Yeah, and do you know what? The greatest inspiration I have is my dog,
Mm.
because my dog is always in the present moment. My dog's not thinking about, what their task list is to do. They're always excited to see whoever comes in. They live in such a present moment with a joyful spirit that I've got a literal, visible example of what it looks to be entirely present, and that's a great form of accountability for me. It's just to remember that.
Mm. And earlier, Ryan, you mentioned about there's also another term is very important is enjoy. Okay,
Hmm.
and it's hard to enjoy though because we have so many hats that we need to wear, so many things on our shoulder that we need to like be responsible for, right? And and uh, personally, my mom, my wife and I was trying to help my mom to feel more about life, to be happier, but it doesn't work for her. So she always worry about like the futures and things that yet happening already concern her. So how can you help yourself to be enjoying and give you the strength to enjoy the works that you do, and welcome things that come into your life though?
Well, the word enjoy is almost like put joy in.
Mm.
In goes joy. Put joy in, and
Mm.
and you can look at it that way. You can look at forcing yourself to try and be more joyful in your moments.
Uh-huh.
But I believe that love, peace, gratitude, joy. I think these are our natural states as human beings. I
Mm.
think what we then have to learn is to try and remove what takes that away.
Mm.
What takes away our love? What takes away our joy? What takes away our peace?
Mm.
And if we can figure out what that is, and we can remove what removes it,
Mm.
then our natural state is peace, love, joy, harmony,
Mm.
gratitude. So sometimes it's not about trying to falsify a spirit of enjoyment. And when we realize that that spirit is for the journey, because life's hard, especially if we're leading and we are required to make tough decisions and we're to serve and we're to sacrifice, that spirit of joy is for the journey. It's what's
Mm.
going to give us energy. It's going to be what keeps us showing up, rather than having it at the end of the fishing rod, almost like I'll be joyful when.
Yeah, and we never
I
happen.
think life. I think life, but it's the mosaic of all emotions, isn't it? I think if we put joy on a pedestal too much, we'll be really made aware of its absence. So Sadhguru, the Indian yogi, says that the pursuit of anything reveals its absence,
Mm.
and I love that phrase, because again, this is why America will never be the happiest nation on the planet, because they're in the pursuit of happiness, and in the pursuit of happiness, it reveals its absence.
Mm. Wow. Ryan, is there anything exciting that because we know your past, the work that you do already, the present work that you do, and I'm always curious about the future works that you are about to do, and and is there anything exciting you're working on that you want to share with us so we can celebrate with you in advance?
It's really interesting. Thank you for the question. And my instinct is to say more of the same, because I understand that my approach is in the minority. I understand that not everybody comfortable or familiar with a heart-centered approach.
Mm.
I think the world is intellectually driven. I think the world is externally driven.
Mm-hmm.
Quite often, it's influenced by pop culture and and capitalism. So I understand that when I say you have all that you need, desire less, be more, these things maybe are more Eastern philosophy accepted, but
Yep.
certainly not here in the Western world, because the conditioning has been do more, have more, for you to feel more of the feelings that you want. I'm trying to reverse that formula. So no, there's nothing specifically new, more of the same, and hopefully more and more we'll start to learn. I think the hallmarks are already there. We are a society in chaos, turmoil. There is mental health crises epidemic.
Yep.
There is disconnection. We are more disconnected now than we've ever been. There's physical lack of health and with the diets and the well-being. So now is the time, and I'm just waiting for people to realize that the solution all along has been to connect with your heart, to lead with love, lead and serve from a position of love.
Well, Ryan, you're not alone in this journey, though, and there was a lot of big names in the world also starting to, and has been leading the way also to bring the East culture and the culture from the East and adapt it to the culture from the West, and then try to find formulas that works. And if we look at the books and the ideas that came out, and during the pandemic, we see a lot of change. Right now, they talk a lot about connections. They talk a lot about relationship building, a lot about trust, psychological safety, and things like that. And the people, and look at the world, the whole world reacting to the pandemic in a way that really truly shows what really important to them from the inside, right? And
But what one word has been missing from all of those books?
which was that?
Love.
Love. Wow.
Love. It is unconditional love that creates psychological safety. It is unconditional love that creates connection and belonging. So the word that the business world and the world in general is looking for is unconditional love.
Unconditional love. All right. And then now you are leading the way to build that unconditional love. And
I'm human. Like, I don't always meet that standard. Like, and this is why some people turn to faith, and because that is the promise of unconditional love. And I need that. I need to be reminded that I'm unconditionally loved. There's nothing more I can say. There's nothing more that I can do to change how much loved I already am. Because I tell you, I've been the young boy who has gone into the world in search of love. I interviewed a guy called Dr. Gary Chapman, who's the author of the 5 Love Languages. And he, on his last page of his book, wrote something that haunts me. It says, "For all the love we do not receive as children, we become adults that seek that in the world." And I was that kid. I was going into the world seeking love and validation through my work. And it didn't. It led me into places where I wasn't, being the husband I needed to be in the home. I certainly didn't fix challenges and problems within our relationship when they arose, because I did what was nice to do, which was go back to my business and my community where they were loving Ryan Hartley. It's not. How can you not love me? These people love me, and I've really had to learn what it means to adopt an unconditional spirit, learning how I already have all that I need. I'm already loved. Life isn't a performance. And then that enables me to come from love rather than for love. Many people are using their social media, their businesses, their beauty, their looks, their possessions to gain love.
From love, but not for love, right? So,
Absolutely.
you know what? A lot of us has been chasing the wrong light. Okay, if all of us close, our listener, listen and then close their eyes and ask themselves a question: have they been, chasing the wrong life in their life? I can tell you, there's many of them would say yes. I also chase for fame, chase for title, chase for things that are out there, and then one day I just realized that wow, we lose a lot of things that are really important, and I think that the moment that that I realized that what matters, and then we do things totally different in the reverse way. And I'm thankful for the for my wife to remind me of what's out
Well,
there.
that's powerful, and so that you're referring to exactly what I meant by the penguins of Madagascar moment, right?
Hmm.
And you and I are fortunate that we've still got good people around us.
Yep.
Too many people learn that lesson after losing things that are important to them.
Mm.
They sometimes lose their health, they sometimes lose their career, or they'll lose their relationship, or sometimes all of them.
Mm.
And it's at that point where they have that reflection. Yeah,
Mm.
I guess we understand the term midlife crisis.
Mm.
Maybe the midlife crisis is synonymous by figuring out what's really important to us. Maybe
Mm.
not. Maybe it was never society's expectations all along, and maybe we've gone down a path that was never meant for us to begin with.
Mm. Well, my friend, thanks a lot for a very deep connection and talks that we have in tonight. And I think that the audience, we have a lot of things for them to listen to reflect, and to think. And from to think, I want them to move to do also, to change. So if it works, then keep it. If something that's not working, change it to something that's
Couldn't
better.
agree more. Yeah, great advice. Great
And
advice. This is it, because it's in the experience, right?
yep.
Sometimes my greatest flaw was being so intellectually driven
Mm.
that actually I've needed to understand the ins and outs of all of it. Whereas actually the true transformation is in the experience, it's in the application of doing that thing. And as you perfectly said,
Mm.
if it works, keep doing it. If it doesn't, let go.
Mm. My friend, thanks a lot again. All right, I hope that I can meet you one day, and then I can invite you and your family for lunch or for dinner or so, and give you guys a big hug for doing an amazing thing
Yeah,
in the world, my friend. And if you guys ever travel to this region, okay, you let me know. My wife and my family and I will be so happy to take you guys around town. Okay.
love that. Absolutely love that. Thank you so much for your gracious offer. Thank you.
Thank you, and you have a beautiful day there. Okay, Ryan.
Bye.
Say hello to your family for us, please. Okay. Have a good day. Bye, my
See you,
friend.
brother. Take care.
Take care. Thanks.